So here's a quick way to drape. Instead of pulling the sheet apart from the blanket, there can be some friction and it can take a while to move the blanket and then try to get the sheet down. That takes and wastes a lot of time. So a real easy way to drape is simply gather up the blanket, it'll catch onto the sheet, tug it down toward the waist, tuck in, and you're done. So in massage therapy school, often we are apologizing to our colleagues for really cold hands. And that's okay as long as you're a student, but as a professional, you should never have to apologize for cold hands. There are two things you can do. One is you can get a couple of hot stones in your hands and just warm your hands up a little bit. Second thing you can do is take a hot towel out of the hot towel cavity. I unfold it to half, and then very briskly I lay down several times, give the person a sense of the heat to come, and then I drop the towel down. And then I massage through the towel. So this has the purpose of warming up the skin and the muscles of the person on the table at the same time as warming up my hands. So you never, ever, ever, ever have to apologize for cold hands again. So with our hot stone heater, the setting should be about 120 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 49 degrees Celsius. That's the starting point for the hot stones. And there are several sets of hot stones in the unit. We have the large stones, which are largely just to warm the body up. We have the mid-sized stones, 2 rows of those, which are for more direct massage techniques. And we have what we call the tool stones right here on the end, which are long and they have rounded points at either end. And we'll be getting into all of these stones and how we use them. The first stones, however, though, are the warm-up stones. So we're going to take 2 broad stones from the heater. We're going to dry them off. And then we're going to come back over to our client. Now, we never just want to put the heated stones on. We want to engage the person and introduce the stones. So I suggest a 3-step process. First thing we're going to do is to introduce ourselves back into their space. They can't see us, they're face down. So we want to give them a sense that we're in their space. Second thing, we're going to run up and down the back just to give them a sense of the area that we're going to be working on. And then when you're ready, we're going to turn the stones over and apply in a brisk format. As the heat is dissipated from the one side of the stone, turn the stones over and apply heat from the other side. As the heat dissipates, then you can slow down your pace and start to spread the heat slowly in and around. The heat only lasts for about 30 to 45 seconds. And again, the major purpose of these large stones is simply just to transfer the heat onto the body to warm the body up. Now let's talk about a couple do-nots with hot stones. So first of all, do not just come and apply the hot stones on the body. That can be shocking for the person. We want to have that introduction of touch, then a sense of the area that we're going to be covering, and only then, when you're ready, turning the stones and applying in a washboard format. Second do not is do not apply the stones either too slowly or in a small area. The sensory area in the back will register that as really hot and it'll be uncomfortable for the person. So we want to make sure we cover a broad area, and we want to do it relatively quickly until that heat starts to dissipate down. Another do not is do not torque your wrists. That's not good for the therapist. Another do not is when you're flipping the stones, make sure that you flip them when they're closest to you. If you try to flip them here and you're bent over the body, you're more likely to drop a stone or to strain your back. So make sure that the flipping of the stones happens up at the shoulders closest to where you are. And the last do not is do not set up negative expectations. So don't come to the person and say, oh, these are hot now, because that is going to set up a negative expectation and your client will have a negative response. So you don't need to say anything. As long as you can hold the stones and they're not too hot for you to hold, then you can easily apply them to the body. Thank you. So after we've warmed up the body with the large stones, we can grab the mid-sized stones. The mid-sized stones are easier to hold on to and give us more opportunity. Now, everything that you normally do with your hands, so you would do ringing, you would do scooping, you might do spreading techniques, and you might reinforce one palm with the other and do reinforced palmar kneading. All those things that you do with your hands, you can also do with the stones. The stones sit in the cup of the hand. You don't need to grip the stones. They'll sit comfortably in that pocket, so you can keep your fingers nice and loose. And just try to apply some of the same techniques. Now, in hand and stone, we never do a placement stone. That's just leaving the stone on the body. There have been cases where people have been burned with the placement stone. So at hand and stone, it is our constant policy that we always keep the stones moving. You can have a little bit of a bridge area here to rest. That's not going to burn anybody sitting up there. Then I can use the other stone and apply palmar kneading. So we've looked at a number of ways to use the flat surface of the stone, but now we also have edges on the stone. And these edges allow us to penetrate deeper into the muscle. So if you're doing a flat technique, like so, and you check in with the person on the pressure, and the person says, yes, please, I would like the pressure to be deeper. You can, without exerting any more force of your own, you can put the stone on the side and use the edge of the stone. Now the perception of the client on the table will be that you're actually pressing harder. But what you've done by simply using a firm edge of the stone, a more focal point, it actually feels deeper. And there's a couple of opportunities with the edges of the stones as well. We can actually, what do we do in massage therapy school? We normally pummel those poor spinal muscles into the ribs and into the transverse processes, parts of the spine. That's what we normally do in schools. We push in, and that can be helpful and effective, but often it can be quite uncomfortable for the client. But if we take the edges of the stones and we gather up, or you can even pull apart. So using the edge of the stone, and you can do this on any flat area, the back of the shoulder. It's very effective around working the gluteal muscles. Simply using the edges of the stone, like in a skin rolling fashion you might have covered in school, and you pull up. And what you'll find, quite remarkably, is that when you go to feel the pliancy of the muscles, they are significantly more pliant than they were in the first place, without causing any discomfort to the client.